Hey there, everybody. It's Black Knight 94, and today it's time for the second manga recommendation. But before I get into that, let me just remind you guys to support the channel by subscribing to me. We're trying to reach a goal of 200. So if you could please subscribe, that would be great. We can make more content like this. But let's get back into the manga recommendation. Today's manga recommendation is a series I've honestly read at least 3 times, counting the one time I read through it completely yesterday to, refresh myself before making the video, which is why I didn't put it up yesterday like I was initially going to do. So, this series was created by a mangaka who's now deceased, sadly, Tadashi Kawashima. One of the best series I've actually read in quite some time. Starts off great, finishes great, but one thing I've always loved was the character development. That blew my mind. I mean, honestly, there is nobody who has really nailed this character development that he had. So, beautiful character development. Every single character. There wasn't a single character in the story that didn't, affect the plot in some way, shape, or form. Even the smallest of characters were all, uniquely united. So, before I get into, grading the series, I'm going to, give you guys the premise. Basically, the series follows Taisuke Kano, a teenage student in Japan who lives a normal life with his sister and his friend Hirose. The story begins when a sentient alien being flies towards Earth after sensing life emanating from it. So they learn that the being of Kuro is composed of souls who were granted immortality but preferred to die. But because they didn't have any body, they could not do so. So these beings separate from each other and enter the bodies of humans in order to pursue death. As a result, a large amount of people across the world commit suicide. Just randomly start committing suicide. Age, nationality, gender, none of that matters. People just drop dead, usually falling off buildings, killing themselves with knives. It's honestly one of the most brutal series I've read in terms of just that alone. And that's before any of the actual action starts. That's where we get into the part of the people who resisted this sudden urge to commit suicide. These people are called comrades. They resist Okuro's affluence and gain powers. Great powers. Honestly, quite frightening. Very lethal. Almost all of them. So, when Taisuke's friend Hirose discovers his own powers, he kidnaps their common friend Megumi, I guess, and he heads north with a police officer who is controlling his thoughts. So, Tai, he follows in an attempt to bring both of his friends back home, although it gets harder and harder as it goes on. On his adventures, he is accompanied by comrades Yuta and Nami. He tracks down Hirose to a lake, and from that point on, that's where the story really heats up. I'm not going to read any more of the premise because it seems to get a little bit into spoiler territory, but it starts with the premise of resisting the influence, gaining powers, and then going on a massive journey to this lake to find the heart. All for, a penultimate battle, which turns the story on its head towards another beautiful journey. But these characters, each and every single one of them, are absolutely human. Taisuke, as stated in the premise, his main goal is to retrieve his two friends, and if need be, possibly even kill Hirose if he needs to. Yuta, the young kid who first joins him, is basically just along for the ride, and is quite honestly not exactly the most offensively based character, but he is definitely one of the most important characters in their little group. Nami, who controls ice, later joins them on a revenge hunt for the death of her little brother, Satoshi, for a comrade with the power to explode things killed him at some point between the mass suicides and the current part of the plot where they were. On top of that, they're also accompanied much later on by the Tezuka family, a family who's basically their head of their family is this one mother who's a nomad who's mothered countless children. Oh god. And each of those children play, or at least the older ones, play a very pivotal role in the second half of the series, with only two of them being comrades. But aside from the protagonists, the antagonists include Hirose, the police officer Katsumata, who has the power to basically control people's minds. And through his mind control, he gathers comrades such as Takumi Yura, whose power basically uses bubbles to compress air for miniature explosions. Morio, who is a comrade with the ability to create wind blades to cut objects. Okuda, a obese otaku with an inferiority complex, whose power is to make people promise him something, and in return, if they break that promise, they die immediately. As well as Mitachi, a girl who was the explosion user mentioned earlier, and Asu, a Catholic priest whose ability to touch others petrifies everyone. So, these villains are very, very pivotal. Each of them have their own specific needs, wants, and personalities, with Yura being one of my favorites, and perhaps one of the most surprising characters in the series. So, honestly, every single one of those characters I mentioned, beautiful. I've left some out for, plots, own stuff, but aside from that, the series is absolutely flawless. Starts off with the Suicide Week. Major, major feels there. It's perhaps one of the most brutal openings for a manga ever. And once the comrade concept comes into play, with Yura's introduction and the mass murders that follow, absolutely stunning, and how it just upheavals not just Japan, but the entire world on its head. So, the story, brilliant from start to finish. There were never any needless parts in the story. Every character had their own separate agendas, which only made the series much more, how do I put it, compelling. Every character had their own little, their own little needs, wants, and goals. From Taisuke and his friends, to Nami and her, getting revenge for her brother, and even Hirose. So, most of them are very, very pivotal in the plot in many different ways. But the ending, not going to spoil anything, but the ending itself, beautiful. It goes into a deep philosophical, god damn it, is very, very touchy. In a good way. Of course, I now have seen that the series actually ended February 2010, just 4 months before the mangaka perished from liver cancer. Was it liver? Yes, liver cancer. So, he had a lot of things going on in his mind on his own deathbed that he perfectly transmitted through the end of the series. Honestly, From story, character development, even the art style, I have to say I'd have to give this a 10 out of 10. Great reread capability. So I've already read it 3 times. I don't read that many series 3 times. Maybe like 5 or 6. A few more twice. There are very few series to really get me in that deep. So honestly, I heavily recommend this one. Thank you guys for checking into this video. Check out my previous manga recommendation. And following the action theme, I'm thinking of possibly starting a spin-off segment, manhwa recommendations. You know, featuring stuff like The Breaker or The Gamer, if you've heard of that one. If you haven't, perfect. That's what the videos will be about. To introduce those, series to you. So when I start them, you'll love them. Hope you guys check them out. Check out Alive. It can be found on almost all of the manga sites I've checked, from Manga Reader to Manga Here. And like I said, it's been completely finished. Not. It seems like they were releasing it in Del Rey, from Del Rey Publisher in America. Let's see. I think most of them are out by now, but probably. Let's see. No, it doesn't show that anything past Volume 8 might have been released in America. Maybe it has been, because that was from 2009. So you'll have to check and see. That being said, you can still at least find the first 8 volumes in America. So check this series out. Comment below on what you think. And subscribe, like the video. Check out my previous one for Reborn. And stay tuned for the manga recommendations I'll be doing sometime in the next week or so. Alright, till next time. Later.